In the dark recesses of Shanidar Cave, an ancient wound tells a story we were never meant to hear. A single rib, pierced clean through by razor-sharp stone. Half a world away, a fractured skull reveals another silent truth. Life in the Paleolithic was anything but peaceful. For decades, scientists asked the same question. Were these injuries hunting accidents, or evidence of something far more sinister? Did Neanderthals fall to the beasts they hunted, or did the greatest danger come from one another? Today, we step back more than 45,000 years to uncover the violent truths of the Neanderthal world. For much of modern history, Neanderthals were dismissed as primitive brutes, slow, dim-witted cavemen barely clinging to survival. But recent discoveries have shattered that myth. They cared for the sick. They crafted complex tools. They created art. Though technically not classified as Homo sapiens, Neanderthals were undeniably human. And as we know all too well, the human condition often includes cruelty, rage, and violence. Violence is ancient, from classical battlefields to modern hunter-gatherer societies. Wherever humans exist, bloodshed follows. But during the Upper Paleolithic, populations were extraordinarily small. At their peak, there may have been fewer than 10,000 Neanderthals spread across Europe and Asia. Groups likely consisted of fewer than 20 individuals. Large-scale warfare would have been highly unlikely. Yet when we examine the bones, a darker picture emerges. Out of more than 300 Neanderthal skeletons, between 74 and 90% show signs of healed traumatic injury. Up to half suffered severe injuries during their lifetime. Some of these wounds came from hunting massive animals at close range, others from encounters with predators. But the sheer frequency and pattern of trauma suggests something else was happening. And at Shanidar Cave in northern Iraq, we find the most chilling clue. One individual, known as Shanidar 3, had a rib punctured by a stone-tipped weapon. Experimental reconstructions of Paleolithic weapons revealed something remarkable. The injury was not caused by a close-range stab. Instead, it matched a low-energy projectile, likely thrown from a distance. A dart, a lightweight javelin. Even more telling was the angle of the wound. This was not an accident. This was an attack. Even more unsettling, the technology associated with such lightweight projectiles is often linked to early modern humans. Shanidar 3 lived at a time when Homo sapiens were moving into the region. Could this be the earliest evidence of interspecies violence? Possibly, but science demands caution. What we can say is this. This is the earliest known case of weapon-inflicted interpersonal violence in the human fossil record. Other Neanderthal remains tell similar stories. Shanidar 1 survived a crushing head injury, blindness in one eye, severe hearing loss, and even the loss of an arm, and lived for years afterward. Someone fed him, protected him, cared for him. Even after violence, compassion endured. Neanderthals were not savage monsters, nor were they peaceful innocents. They were human, capable of cooperation, capable of rage, capable of healing one another after inflicting terrible harm. In a brutal world, their humanity still shone through. And perhaps that is the most powerful lesson their bones leave behind. The rib from Shanidar Cave tells us something important, but it does not stand alone. Across Europe, other Neanderthal remains show injuries that cannot be easily explained away. Fractured skulls, depressed cranial wounds, healed breaks that suggest survival after violent encounters. These were not isolated accidents, but recurring events written into bone. One particularly revealing specimen comes from southeastern France. A partial Neanderthal skull preserved a healed fracture at the top of the head, wide, deep, and unmistakably deliberate. Advanced imaging revealed that the wound had been caused by a sharp-edged impact, likely from a handheld weapon. The position of the injury rules out a fall. The shape rules out an animal bite. This was force applied with intent. The weapon itself is impossible to identify with certainty. It may have been a wooden club hardened by fire. It may have been a throwing weapon. Stone tools found nearby were small and blunt, but stone does not need to be sharp to kill when enough force is applied. Even wood, shaped and swung with purpose, becomes lethal. What matters is not the exact weapon, but the behavior behind it. Violence does not require armies. It does not require warfare. In small, tight-knit groups, the most dangerous conflicts often happen between people who know each other well. Anthropological studies of modern hunter-gatherers and non-human primates tell us that most violence occurs within groups, not between them. Disputes over status, mating access, personal rivalries, sudden escalations that turn deadly when tools are involved. Chimpanzees fight brutally, but their bodies are their weapons. Neanderthals carried tools everywhere they went. That changed everything. Once weapons enter a social system, even momentary rage can have permanent consequences. A single blow can cripple, a single strike can kill. This makes social restraint essential. Fights must be broken up, aggression must be controlled. Otherwise, small groups collapse. And yet the Neanderthals endured. This is where the story becomes more complex. Many of the individuals who suffered severe injuries survived for years afterward. They healed. They lived long enough for broken bones to knit back together, for skull fractures to scar over. That survival required help. Someone fed them. Someone protected them. Someone tolerated the burden of caring for the injured. This suggests a paradoxical reality. The same societies capable of inflicting terrible harm were also capable of remarkable compassion. Violence and care coexisted. Young males appear to have lived the most dangerous lives. Injury rates are highest early in adulthood, and those injured young were more likely to die young. Whether this reflects risk-taking behavior during hunts, competition within groups, or violent disputes, we cannot say for certain. What we can say is this: Neanderthals did not live easy lives. When we compare them to early modern humans living at the same time, something unexpected emerges. Injury rates are similar, trauma patterns overlap. Neither group appears significantly more violent than the other. This undermines the idea that Neanderthals disappeared because they were uniquely brutal or socially inferior. If anything, their lives were just as dangerous and just as human as our own ancestors. It is tempting to frame these injuries as evidence of conquest, to imagine Homo sapiens overwhelming Neanderthals through superior weapons and ruthless efficiency. While encounters between the two species almost certainly occurred, the fossil record does not support a simple narrative of extermination. The truth is quieter, messier. More human, Neanderthals fought. They were injured by weapons. They survived violence inflicted by others like themselves, and still they cared for one another. Their bones do not tell the story of monsters or martyrs. They tell the story of people navigating a harsh world with limited resources, powerful tools, and emotions not so different from our own. In the end, the greatest revelation is not that Neanderthals were violent. It is that they were capable of restraint, capable of empathy, capable of community, even after blood was spilled. In a world defined by survival, their humanity persisted. And long after their voices faded, their bones remained, quietly reminding us that violence is ancient, compassion is ancient, and both have always walked side by side. It is a clean puncture carved by stone, driven into bone with enough force to change the course of a life. Nearby, other remains carry their own silent testimony: fractured skulls, crushed faces, bones that healed only after great suffering. For a long time, these injuries were dismissed as accidents. The cost of hunting massive animals at close range, the danger of living among predators. But as more evidence emerged, a different question began to take shape. What if the greatest danger Neanderthals faced did not always come from the wild? For decades, Neanderthals were portrayed as simple and brutish, barely surviving on the edge of extinction. That image no longer holds. Archaeology has revealed a people who cared for their injured, crafted, sophisticated tools, and lived in tight social groups bound by cooperation. They were human in every way that mattered, and like all humans, they lived with violence. Neanderthal populations were small, scattered across vast landscapes. Their groups were intimate, rarely more than a handful of adults living and moving together. In such conditions, large-scale warfare makes little sense. Avoidance would have been the best strategy for survival. Yet their skeletons tell a more complicated story. A striking number of Neanderthal remains show signs of traumatic injury. Many of these wounds healed, meaning the individual survived long after the event. The sheer frequency of trauma suggests that danger was not occasional, it was woven into daily life. Some injuries clearly came from hunting. Neanderthals pursued large prey at close range, placing themselves in constant peril. Others likely came from encounters with predators. But certain wounds cannot be explained so easily. At Shanidar Cave, one individual suffered a puncture wound to the rib caused by a stone-tipped weapon. Careful analysis shows the injury was inflicted from a distance, not at close range. The angle and force rule out accident. This was a deliberate act. Elsewhere in what is now France, a Neanderthal skull preserves the scar of a powerful blow to the head. The fracture healed, meaning the individual lived on, but the wound itself bears the unmistakable signature of a weapon. Not a fall, not an animal attack. Violence delivered by another person. What kind of conflict leads to such injuries? In small societies, most violence happens within groups. Disputes over status, resources, or mates can escalate quickly. When tools are always at hand, even a moment of anger becomes deadly. A club, a thrown object, a sharpened stick. None need to be elaborate to cause irreversible harm. Weapons change the rules of aggression. Anthropological studies of primates and hunter-gatherers show that social control becomes essential once weapons exist. Fights must be stopped. Aggression must be contained. Without restraint, a group cannot survive. The fossil record suggests Neanderthals understood this. Many individuals with devastating injuries were cared for long after they could no longer contribute fully to the group. They were fed, protected, and allowed to heal. This required patience, planning, and empathy. Violence did not define Neanderthal society, but neither was it absent. Young males appear to have faced the greatest risks. Injuries cluster early in adulthood, and those wounded young were more likely to die young. Whether this reflects dangerous hunting practices, internal conflicts, or a combination of both remains unclear. When Neanderthals are compared to early modern humans living at the same time, an important pattern emerges. Injury rates are similar. Trauma is common in both groups. Life was dangerous regardless of species. This challenges the idea that Neanderthals vanished because they were inherently more violent or less capable. The evidence does not support a simple story of domination or conquest. Instead, it reveals something more familiar. Neanderthals lived in a harsh world where survival demanded strength, cooperation, and sometimes aggression. They fought, they were injured, they cared for one another afterward. Their story is not one of savagery or innocence. It is the story of people who struggled, adapted, harmed, and healed, just as humans always have. And in the quiet bones left behind, we see a reflection not of something alien, but of ourselves. If you enjoyed this journey into deep prehistory, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Your support truly keeps this channel alive. What should we explore next? The past is vast, and it is filled with untold stories. Until then, stay curious.